Now, from the Action 4 studios, sports director Clay Williams and Joe Bowling bring you the best in Valley High School football from the week past and for the week ahead. Highlights, analysis, and predictions from all across the Valley. It's time for Sunday Sports Extra.
Hello and welcome to Sunday Sports Extra. It is our Week 3 ending, Week 4 beginning edition. Joining me, as always, Joe Bowling, Action 4 sports reporter, and our special guest this week from the Valley Morning Star is Eladio Jaimes. Eladio, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
You bet. Let's talk about your specialty, which is 32-5A. You are the beat writer, and last night we had a big game between Los Fresnos and Brownsville Rivera. Got a little chippy out there. Had some ejections in this game, but in the second half, despite being down at halftime, it was all about the Falcons exploding for some big plays, including the Valley's newest and hottest receiver, Brandon Colon, who has just exploded onto the scene for the Falcons, gets a touchdown right there. And then it's the interception by Carlos Castillo right here. Los Fresnos defense getting it done. More from John Michael Morales, who had an unbelievable game, over 300 yards passing, and the Los Fresnos Falcons win this one pretty easily in the end, despite being down at halftime. Meanwhile, on Friday, the big game of the night was Brownsville Veterans at Harlingen South. Veterans undefeated, looking to stay that way, but Harlingen South got some big yardage from Jaden Taylor, 135 yards in the second half alone, and then Sean Montemayor takes it in around the right side for one keeper, and then takes it up the middle for another keeper here. Montemayor, the difference as Harlingen South comes back to win this game. They were down 15-14 in the third. A couple of comebacks in District 32-5A. So let's start talking about this district. And what did you learn from these games, these first couple of games that you saw this week? What do we know now about Los Fresnos, Harlingen South? What do we know about Brownsville Veterans now that they've been in a tough game and held fast against the Hawks despite falling at the end?
I think the biggest thing that I learned this weekend was that Brownsville Veterans is really good. I'll stand up here, I'll sit up here and admit, I go, okay, Brownsville Veterans, they beat PI, they beat RGC, they beat Porter, but let's see what they can do against South. And I told someone on Friday, I go, even though South has had their struggles in the past few years, it's still a Harlingen South team that's been around for years. They've had some tradition, and they have a lot of expectations this year of possibly competing for a district title. So let's see what Brownsville Veterans can do coming into Bogus Stadium. I mean, it's not, it's not a huge stadium, one of the most revered, but it is Bogus Stadium. A lot of people down here in the Valley, a lot of teams, kind of come a little wide-eyed when they come into Bogus. Let's see what Brownsville Veterans does now, coming in from playing a sub-varsity schedule the last 2 years, and see what they do at Bogus Stadium against a Harlingen team. And they impressed me a lot. I mean, those guys came out ready to hit. Those guys came out ready to play, and Coach Cantu had those guys ready mentally, physically, emotionally, everything. And they hung with South. They almost pulled off. Somebody asked me, would it have been an upset? I think it would have been an upset in the sense that this is their first varsity season. But, I mean, Brownsville Veterans is a really good team. And if they would have won, you would put them up there with a title contender. But even now, they're looking at maybe a second, third place. They're not going to settle for being the fourth place team out of that district.
Yeah, they're just 1-1, just one game now behind 2-0 Los Fresnos, 2-0 Harlingen South, 2-0 Harlingen. A lot of good quarterback play in this league, Joe.
Well, real good quarterback play, and from the wake-up call that Los Fresnos got down at Rivera last night, that's the game I got to go to. What I've learned, wake up Los Fresnos, and you just might not like what you see on the other side, because they flat out put it up, and these quarterbacks are doing a tremendous job, whether it's Montemayor at South, whether it's the Los Fresnos quarterback. The quarterbacks are making some big plays now, and suddenly that's where you look when you try to stop these teams first and foremost.
Now, we talk about these quarterbacks. Do any of these teams, do Brownsville Veterans, Harlingen South, Los Fresnos, do they have any chance at unseating the Harlingen Cardinals, who have been district champions forever? Do they have any chance of unseating them as district champions, or is this still the Cardinals' district to lose?
Well, it's not the Cardinals' district to lose in the sense that they're not defending the 32-5A title. They're defending the 31-5A, but obviously Harlingen came in favored as a favorite to win the district. But does South, does Brownsville Veterans, does Los Fresnos have a chance? Of course they have a chance. They've been playing some great football. Harlingen obviously struggled early on. They had some injuries. Some other players are going to be coming back as the weeks come along. They have a week off, so I think that a healthy Harlingen. Now it's going to sound like I'm making excuses for them. I'm not, but a healthy Harlingen, can wrap up this district, but South is very good. Brownsville Veterans is pretty good, is very good. And Los Fresnos showed yesterday that they're very good and very explosive as well. So on any given night, I mean, I'm looking ahead for 2 weeks to that Los Fresnos Harlingen game. That's going to be a very good game. And, you know, will that be for district title? Maybe that'll be for district title. Maybe Bird Bowl in a couple of weeks after that. Maybe Los Fresnos Harlingen South after that. That's a Week 10 game. So you never know. I mean, a lot of people talk about 31-5A, and when I saw the realignments, and I saw 31-5A, and I'm over here covering 32-5A with the Brownsville schools. I'm like, all right, maybe this is the better league. But I don't know, 32-5A looks pretty good right now at the top of the league. I mean, those are some pretty good teams, and those are teams that shouldn't be discounted when you're talking about the best in the valley. I mean, 32-5A is pretty competitive, and you know, no one's giving Harlingen the district title. None of us here are going to give the Cardinals the district title, and I'm pretty sure South and Brownsville Veterans and Los Fresnos are going to have something to say about anybody wanting to give Harlingen the district title. All
right, let's go ahead. We talked about Los Fresnos in a couple of weeks. Let's go ahead and talk about them this week, taking on Brownsville Lopez. Do you see any reason why the Falcons train shouldn't keep running, Eladio?
No, you know, unless they're looking ahead to Harlingen, which I doubt Coach Finley and his staff are gonna allow that to happen. Unless it's one of those things, you know. I mean, Lopez comes out and they compete. I'm not saying they're just gonna roll over for Los Fresnos, but the Falcons are looking pretty good right now, and I think that with what they did this week and gaining that momentum, they're gonna go into the Lopez game knowing that they have a big game ahead of them, but knowing that they got to take care of business this week, and it's going to set up a pretty good matchup with Harlingen in a couple of weeks.
Lopez, Los Fresnos, any chance the Falcons fall?
No, I don't think so. I think the worst thing that could have happened to any team that thought they might upset Los Fresnos was the 17 points thrown at them in the first half last night. That's the wake-up call. That's the thing that Coach Finley can look at now each and every week and say, go ahead and do that and watch what happens to you, and it's not going to happen from here on. So no upsets against Los Fresnos.
Okay, the other game, does Brownsville Veterans continue on their road to the Brownsville City Championship by beating Brownsville Hanna this week, Eladio?
I think so. I mean, you know, with Marco Munoz and Adrian Alejandro there, it's going to be pretty tough to stop them.
I think they take out some frustrations. They thought they could win that football game. They'll win big.
All right, well, let's make it 3 for 3, as I'll take Brownsville Veterans in that one as well, and I'll take Los Fresnos to make it 3 for 3 there. That's 32-5A. When we come back, the district getting ready for their first games, 32-4A, and man, is it wide open. 3 big games coming up this weekend, including Ed Couch Elsa with another tough one at home on the new turf at the Black Hole, and of course Valley View looking to prove that they are for real, taking on Mission. It's all when we come back on Sunday Sports Extra.